nobody there for Tucson. Ring will take it away with speed up the right wing side. Velarde tripped up, centered for Fagimo to the left circle. A shot, score! In his first game of the year, guess who? Lias Anderson makes it 3-2 with 1:56 to go.
To ask you about, because I mentioned him earlier. He was a favorite of mine earlier in the season. I thought he looked really, really good in the AHL for Ontario, and that's Tyler Madden. They had him in the bumper role on the power play. He was getting, it seemed he was getting a lot of shooting opportunities from the slot area. They weren't falling. He had some pipes, pucks weren't going in, and then he had a little bit of some of the puck luck started to get a little bit better, but he's kind of been up and down throughout the season where there's got stretches of games where he looks really impactful. He is another one that's missed some time here. He's been out for a few weeks now. But Tyler Madden, how does he look to you?
I think with Tyler Madden, he's like one of those guys where, and again, like today in preparation, I like to watch like a good amount of AHL games, but just like with the way I'm right with the Moose and stuff, I'd say I watch like every Moose game, something in the division, and then I like to watch players, the shifts. So like that's so with Tyler Madden, obviously I've heard of him. Haven't watched him in college at all, but today in watching him preparation, actually the one thing I think about is like he's kind of one of those guys where as a prospect you wonder like, okay, does he do one thing that is exceptionally like good enough to be more than a tweener, right? Like that's the first like question you would ask, right? And first of all, like no wonder they bumped up the bumper because he can generate chances in an amazing ability to AHL, like on his own or whatever way. And while he's not like insane power play production by the numbers, Ontario is pretty stacked. It's pretty spread across the board. So, but with Tyler Madden, I wonder if he's that kind of guy where he could sort of like establish himself in a bomb six role with LA, and then a year or two later after getting there, score goals, sneaking like, whoa, wait, Tyler Madden has 10 goals? Like, whoa, like I didn't know that. Beyond that, I don't know. Like that's kind of my gist of like, I'm gonna be fully transparent. Like I watched like a couple hours of him today, like just on and off. Like that's kind of my initial view. I'd love to know what you guys think, but production wise, like good goal scorer, chances, but like my eye test wise, like I don't know. He seems like a coin flip to me. Am I wrong in that?
No, you're not. And
like that's what I
because early in the season I was like, you know what, one of the best players in the first maybe a few weeks of the season, Randon, we were talking like Tyler Madden. He looks the part. Like he's not NHL ready, but at this level, he is really he's off to a good start. And then it kind of went quiet for a while. Like, and I'm not even talking about just production. Like, it just seemed like his chances dried up. He wasn't even generating a lot of chances. And then out of nowhere, he'd get hot again and have a stretch where he's involved in the offense. He's getting scoring opportunities. So I don't know what to make of him. I'm skeptical that I'm skeptical of what his NHL future projects to be, frankly.
He's a tweener, if anything.
Right now, I think it's fair to say that maybe he's a tweener at this point, but he shows stretches where he's really impactful. And then there's games where he's, I hate to say non-existent, but I think part of it is, I think he's still physically somebody that's got to get a little bit bigger and stronger and be able to handle some of the physicality and going to different areas of the ice. And again, he's another player that's going to have to, he's played mostly wing on the season, came up as a center. I think he was a center when Vancouver drafted him. So another one that's had to have a bit of a position change, but I'll be interested to see next season because I think he's had a fine season here. Again, he's hurt right now, but as he goes into another year pro, next year, a full year pro, what type of numbers we're talking about. But yeah, I'm with you right now. I think you're completely right. It's a bit of a tweener. I don't know, Randon, what you think about Madden.
Yeah. So, I mean, all the guys that we talked about so far, injury has been a part of their career, and Tyler Madden is no different. He was in line to win the Hubby Baker in college, be the MVP of the NCAA, and he got injured on his finger. Last year took a brutal hit, out for most of the season, only played the last couple games. This year has had multiple injuries, but I love his creativity. And I don't really think that there's a player in the prospect pool for the Kings that has the level of creativity that he does or the willingness to expose that. It was very apparent in college that he had that. And I think that the injuries have set him back. And then when you play with guys that are high-level producers like a Byfield or Ferk or Tynan or whatever, maybe you take a back seat with your skill set, similar to what Adrian Kempe said when he was playing with Jeff Carter. Like, hey, I didn't really play my game. I deferred. And I think as the more he plays, the better he's going to get. And I think he's a top 9 guy in the NHL, whether he could play third line and be the offensive juggernaut, or he could be a complementary piece on the first line if they needed to, not on a routine basis. But I like that. I like his playmaking ability and his creativity, which I don't think the prospect pool has. Now, the percentage of him hitting that, I think, is a lot lower than the prospects that we've talked about already. And so that's where like you said, the tweener or the coin flip aspect comes into play for me as well.
If I may, like one more thing, when I was in Toronto, like Jeremy Bracco was a guy where, like, speaking of like Scott Wheeler, he came out and tweeted how Bracco was the second best passer in the entire Leafs organization, and like Wheeler was right, and everyone ripped him for it. But, like, he was right, but people are missing was, like, with that said, the fact that he skates like a freaking duck and like has all these other issues, making like. I find that the guys like the Tyler Madden stuff that are great college players, they have great skill set, but like also here's the thing: 5'11" isn't like short as like maybe before, but like he's not. He looks undersized. Number one,
he does.
So, and he's like, I don't know what he weighs in at, but like
he's a $160 soaking wet at the draft.
Okay, so like look at that.
Yeah.
Like, all right, and maybe he's lifted some weights since then, but I don't know. So that's what he's at. Does he have game breaking speed? No. So there are like a lot of guys that fit the profile we've just outlined. Tyler Madden can score, all these things could do. Will he even be I want to be clear about what I said before. I think that's what he could be, Tyler Madden, because like, listen, he's not going to compete. He's creative in little ways. He can play like a simpler type of game and be creative. But like in terms of not even just like himself, but like he's going to be leapfrogged here. Like, you guys have, like, the Kings have an amazing amount of prospects. Like, no matter what Tyler Madden does, he will be leapfrogged. Will we figure it out somewhere else, right? We look at that lens. Well, by then, how old is he?
Yeah.
Well, he's already done this. So for me, like, he was a 3rd-round pick. His draft value is higher than a 3rd-round pick. So he's already outplayed his draft stock, in my opinion. And so will it continue on that trajectory? Maybe, maybe not. But like you're saying, and what we've been saying from the Kings standpoint is that, yeah, you have the number 1 prospect pool, now ranked number 2, according to Scott Wheeler, in the NHL. Not everybody's going to make it. Not everybody's going to have a spot on this roster. And so he's going to have to earn that. Does he have a high level skill in his creativity and the way he views the ice? Yes. Does he have detriments being his size, his speed? Sure. But ultimately, sometimes the willingness to do it. I mean, you saw it. I think his name is Gerard in Nashville, undrafted.
Yeah,
whatever. He has 20 plus goals this year. He just put it together at the biggest stage, and ultimately, that's the player's decision to do that. And draft level doesn't really play into that. And we've seen Matt Roy do that for the last 3 seasons.
You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah. I think next year will be a big year for Madden, and I think what'll be his really second full year as a pro. You